Ernest Langdon from Langdon Tactical here, and we're going to do a video for you about how to install or swap out your optimized performance trigger bar. We've been shipping them a lot out there and people are asking for it. So what we're going to do is go through the process of making that exchange. Now this is an Elite LTT here with a factory trigger bar in it. So the first thing we're going to do, clear the gun out, make sure that it's empty. Go ahead and remove the slide and take it off of the gun. And then you can go ahead and remove that right grip panel. Now I've already done it to save time, but you can basically, you got 2 screws, they're 2mm hex heads. Back those out, take the grip panel off, and you're ready to go. Now I'm going to go ahead and pull the trigger and drop the hammer carefully. And the first thing that we need to do is remove that trigger bar spring. Now the easiest way I've found to do it over the years is just take my fingernail, pry it down in there, and pull that trigger bar spring up. And then I can just pop it up out of its slots in the frame. Now the next thing you're going to need, or I highly recommend, is a little 2mm or it's a 1.75mm number 2 crochet hook. I can reach down in there and grab that trigger bar spring to pull it forward. If you have a Beretta 92 produced after the early 90s, or the early 2000s, it's going to have a slot cut in that trigger bar pin, and you're going to need to pull that forward so that it disengages from that slot, and then you can pull the trigger bar out of the side of the gun. So I take my stock one out. Once I got it out, get my optimized performance trigger bar. I'm going to take the trigger pin for that and put it partially into the hole, that upper hole for the trigger. Not all the way. I want to leave that slot open because now I'm going to take that same 1.75mm crochet hook. I'm going to reach in there, pull that trigger bar spring forward, and push it the rest of the way in. Once I've got that in, grab my trigger bar spring again. It coincides with a hole and a slot in the frame. So I take that 90-degree leg, drop it down into that hole, then rotate it around and drop the front arched portion into the slot. Again, take my fingernail, pull it down so that it drops into the groove on the underneath of the trigger bar. And at that point, I'm done. All I got to do is a function check. So I'm going to put the slide back on the gun. And once it's on the gun, I want to check it in both double action and single action to make sure that it's functioning properly. Now single action should be pretty easy. Alright, double action is probably, if you're going to have a problem, most people don't, it's going to be in double action. So I want to pull that double action trigger pull multiple times straight to the rear, and while trying to push the trigger to the right and pull it to the left to make sure, or push it to the left, pull it to the right, to make sure that I don't get any binding with that over travel stop. If that's working for you, you're done. You don't have to do anything else. If not, if you need to take the material off of the over travel stop. Let me show you how to do that. What you're going to do is remove material at that front of the trigger bar. This over travel stop is what stops that trigger bar from moving forward and gives you less over travel in your single action and double action pull. So what you're going to want to do is take a stone and try to file down a few thousandths off of the front of that. Probably only about a thousandth it's going to take. And then put it back in the gun and test it. Don't get crazy, and you need a stone or something like that. A file is probably not going to touch it because the MP3 and the Duralube is extremely hard and the file is probably not going to work. Once you file that down, you put it back in the gun, go through the same test procedures, and you should know whether your gun is working properly or not. Guys, that's all there is to it.